Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the More Joy broadcast. I am Brad,
I'm Selena.
and we are so glad you have joined us. And we're just going to go ahead and pop the clutch and get right into this because there's a lot to unpack in this episode. Because we are going to talk about cross-cultural marriage.
That's
We've
right.
actually had some requests for this from different people all over the world, people who are married, people who are looking to be married,
Yes.
and they are marrying cross-culturally. For those of you that don't know us well enough, Selena and I are an example of cross-cultural marriage.
Yes.
I am from the great state of Alabama.
Y yo soy de Guatemala.
Órale, yes, yes. And she is from Latin America, so we come
Yes.
from a cross-cultural background.
I'm not wearing my hoops today. Just my little hoops.
Your little hoops.
That's
your,
right.
your demure hoops.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about that because it's a great subject. We have, we were talking about this coming over, we have counseled and married and seen success in many different cross-cultural marriages. And we're
Yes.
going to unpack some of those in a little bit. But before we do, we have to kind of answer a question first because we have to address somewhat of an elephant in the room, maybe, is we're not talking about interracial because interracial doesn't exist,
That's right.
right? It's a myth. There are not multiple races of people. There is one race of people, the human race of people. And so just to kind of, I'm not going to spend any more time on that so to kind of address that, what the Bible says is this: what is needed for biblical marriage is that both humans, both persons,
Yeah.
believe in Jesus,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That is the baseline, foundational. We call it missionary dating. That is dangerous. And those that, if you don't know
Missionary dating means one of you is saved and one of them is not,
But
and you're trying to reach them for the Lord.
I'm going to get them saved.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to go out there and be a missionary in my dating relationship, and I'm going to win her to Jesus. And typically, that's a train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So the Bible talks about not being unequally yoked or unequally joined together with someone who doesn't believe.
Right.
So the baseline is do they believe in Jesus, right? His deity, his work, his resurrection, all the things Jesus said about himself. We add to that a little bit and say this: we have seen over all these years of ministry life, pastoral ministry, it is very helpful
Yeah.
if you believe together about 85% of the same doctrinal beliefs.
That way there's room for growth.
Yes.
And there's margin for trying to, I'm still wrestling through that. But a solid B is a really good mark.
Yeah. It's a really, to get to that, again, because you're not going to find somebody really that believes 100%
Right.
what you believe. Because like you said, you're on a journey.
We
don't
both
believe
growing.
100% the same way.
Not only that, but we've been married 27 years.
Yep.
And when we first got married, there's things that we now have light on that back then we didn't understand.
That's right.
So we have both grown.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
much in our beliefs.
So again, you need to be a believer in Jesus. You need to have 85%, a solid B of your core doctrinal beliefs to be the same.
Yeah.
Right? Again, one of the top 5 causes of divorce is religion. I would say it like this: it's belief systems.
Yes, what your faith is based on and how it's expressed.
Exactly right. So there's that. And then thirdly, you need to be walking in the same direction.
How can two walk together unless they be agreed?
That's what it says in Amos, right? I can't go on a physical walk unless I'm in agreement.
That's right.
So how can I go on a life walk unless I'm in agreement? And what I mean by that is if one of the persons believes, well, I want to go live in a grass hut in Africa and be a missionary to the tribal people, and the other person goes, well, my dream and vision is to go into New York City and live the city life and be a part of a city church and win. Well, those are two very separate callings, purposes, destinies, whatever you want to call it. So you need to at least be moving in the same direction, right?
Absolutely.
Again, one of the cross-cultural relationships we helped was a young girl that was in our church in Canada. and she really wanted to be a missionary.
Yes, she
Like,
did.
and she came from an El Salvadorian family, so she was
Yes.
Latin American.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to be a missionary, want to be a missionary nurse, but she wanted to go married because that's what she was told by somebody well-intentioned. And
Yeah.
she waited and waited and waited, and finally one day she comes and she's, I jokingly would say, she's crying and slinging snot all over my office.
She wasn't actually,
doing it.
but that's
she
the
was there, and
brag.
Pastor Brad, Pastor Brad, Pastor Brad, why? Why hasn't God given me a husband? Why hasn't he? Why hasn't he done this for me? I just don't understand. And I finally looked at her and said, "Hey, what do you feel like God's asked you to do?" And she goes, "Well, I'm gonna be a missionary nurse." Then I said, "Sweet girl, he's probably not in this country.
Your husband to be is probably
He's
not around here.
somewhere else." So you just need to go follow the destiny God has for you, and I'm pretty
Yes.
sure you'll find him. And it was so funny. About 3-4 months later,
Yeah.
she goes into Guatemala or somewhere like that, and she's working in a hospital there. And she calls me. My secretary goes, "Pastor Brad," and she names her. So and so's on the phone, wants to talk to you. So I pick up the phone and I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Pastor Brad, would you like to talk to Walter?"
Yes.
And I'm like, absolutely,
ever?
put that boy on the phone,
Yes.
right? And so, hey guys, but they're walking
awesome.
together. So again, the baseline, what makes the qualifications for biblical marriage? We believe in Jesus. We have a good, solid B in our core beliefs doctrinally, and we're walking in the same direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything above that, including culture,
Yes.
is, and we've used this a lot, is what I call the video game analogy.
Yes. Oh, brace yourself. This
Now,
is fun.
and it's Jacob, right? I got a new producer, Jacob. Jacob, how old are you, son? 8, about to be 18. Now,
Awesome.
you play video games? Sometimes. Okay, so
Sometimes.
this is an old man talking here, right? This is an old man back when the dinosaurs played video games, when they were not three-dimensional, they were quite pixelized. When you started a video game, you had to set the difficulty level. Do you still have to do that, Jacob, in modern video games? In some games, not all games, but some. But when I was there, the very first screen, when you loaded that game up,
Yep.
it would say, you want easy,
Easy,
you want medium, you
or-
want hard. And one of them I remember we played was like, do you want to be deity level, which means you're playing against God, and it was like hardly any way to win, And so you would pick these levels.
We shall never win. Ha ha.
You have to remember that every other thing you add to marriage,
Yeah.
you are setting the difficulty setting.
That's right.
So when I chose to marry a beautiful Latin American lady, I chose a higher difficulty setting.
Yes, because we were raised in very different contexts, different language. I mean, I spoke English, but he did not speak my native tongue, which is Spanish. And that's the language of my heart. Let's
Yes.
just be honest. But then he learned. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Kudos.
Porque
Yes.
soy inteligente.
Because he's very intelligent. and yeah, like I came from a ministry family
Yep.
in Latin America. He did not.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of things that were very different.
Yeah. So with that, you just have to realize, because now back, so we have married people. I'm thinking of one couple, still very much happily married today,
Yes.
where at the time when I married them, the husband was like 40.
Yep.
Or not almost 40, if not quite right at 40. And his wife was mid-20s.
Yes.
She was 25, 26, right? So guys, listen, age gaps are culture gaps,
That's right.
because that's one generation and a whole nother generation are two, right? We've married people who were, again, like us, who were American missionaries, and they married Latin American people because they went on the mission field and found their spouse, right? One of them, again, it was a man. He was a male missionary, and he fell in love and married one of our youth, and there was a 10-year age gap between them. So they added 2 levels, a cultural and language barrier. They
And
added an
age.
age barrier. Again, if you come from, if you will, a different socioeconomic level,
Yeah.
if you grew up with money or resources or finances, and you marry somebody that came from a lower, maybe they were poorer, if you will,
Or maybe from another country where there's poverty.
yeah, Poverty, socioeconomics is a cultural demographic.
Absolutely.
Now, listen to me real careful. You have to be aware of these differences.
Yeah.
And like we've already said, it's like selecting the difficulty level on a video game.
Yeah.
It does not mean you can't win the game.
That's right.
It doesn't mean
That's
you can't
right.
enjoy the game
That's right.
and have fun playing the game.
Absolutely.
You just have to realize I added some difficulty.
Yeah.
And we have found that so helpful to so many people.
Yes.
Because what
Because
happens
there's
is
nothing wrong with you.
there's nothing
If
wrong with
you
them.
find yourself in that relationship and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a little bit challenging. No, it's all good. You will figure it out. It's amazing, actually. So
Absolutely.
a lot of hope here, right?
Well, and again, and a lot of joy.
Yes, a lot
Because
of
if I
joy.
can paint the picture of you're going to get to eat some stuff that's delicious. You're going to get to go places that are super cool.
Yes.
Right? Again, going to Christmas is like a foreign vacation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
there's so many pluses to cross-cultural marriage. But what we found that this is the challenge is cross-cultural relationships can fall prey to looking at. Now, again, I'm going to pick on you. You
Oh, no.
Because I know she looks quite gringo-ish. She looks like a gringa. She's not, right?
No.
But let's just say you were. Let's say you were just a
Okay.
good old Alabama girl,
All
and
right.
you were born and raised here like I was.
I'm having difficulty imagining that, but that's
But
okay.
and you were there, and if we had picked each other in our state,
Right, yeah.
and you were American, you were Alabamian. Hey, we lived in the same neighborhood, went to the same school.
Right.
We have a lot of similarities of all kinds of things.
Yeah.
The challenge with cross culture is we can look at couples that are
Same. Culture.
normal. I hate even using that, same
Yeah.
culture, and go, well, man, they just got it so easy. Man, why, we just over here, we have all these challenges. Man, da. And listen, if that was the case, they just picked the easy level.
Yeah.
They hit the proverbial easy button of
Yeah.
marriage because they married someone of their culture.
But easy marriage is a myth.
Exactly.
So,
Very
and
good.
I'm not saying, but okay, anything worthwhile is not going to be easy.
It's gonna have some challenge
It's
in
going to
it.
have some challenges, right? But just thinking, oh, well, they've got it easy.
No, it's just
It's just different. It just looks different.
It's just a different challenge.
Yeah.
So now with that, let's talk about, now we'll turn and we'll talk about us and we'll
Oh.
apply it to some folks. And in the time that remains,
Sounds good.
we'll do that. Hey, and listen, if you'd like more, ask questions at info@thehollemans.com. You can ask us questions there. If you want more along these lines, we'll be glad to do more of that. The guys are going to put up the email address here
Yeah.
in just a second. So there it is, just info@thehollemans. You can write us there if you've got some cross-cultural marriage questions you'd like to have specifically answered. We'll be glad to do that in future
Yeah.
episodes. But with that, like for example, you've already picked on it. Number one, if you're marrying someone from a different culture and they speak a different language,
Yes.
learn their language.
Yes.
Right. I think of a couple that we love, and we were with them and helped them in a lot of different things.
Yeah.
He spoke a Middle Eastern language, and she spoke a Central European language. Their common language was neither of them's birth language,
It was around their third language each.
and they ran into difficulties
Because just simple communication was difficult.
because they're each speaking to each other in a third language that wasn't their native language.
They still did it.
They still did
like
it.
we said.
It's doable.
It's doable. And you can still enjoy it. Like at first, okay, it's hard. But hey, we do hard things.
But we say this, so one of the first things I knew when I found Selena and I knew that she was the one I wanted to choose is, well, I get to learn Spanish. Now, she had already grown up in English,
Yeah.
but she needed to learn some Alabama English.
Oh, did I ever?
And I had to teach her how to pronounce Alabamian phrases, right? And all this kind of stuff. So, but why? They're acts of love, because your number one thing
Yes.
is, how can I communicate? And you said it before, to their heart.
Yes.
Not just to their intellect.
That's
Okay,
right.
I said words and you understood what those words mean, but I want to actually speak to your heart, and I
Yeah.
actually want to hear from your heart.
Can I just say, in our world today, it's getting so small because we have
Mm-hmm.
social media, we travel a lot more, it's so doable. And now we're foodies and we like different food. So please don't think that a cross-cultural relationship just means different food and different holidays.
Yeah.
The language itself expresses a
Everything.
completely different world. And so when you learn to speak the language, you're learning to speak their heart.
Yeah.
And you're learning to speak that whole culture.
Yeah. And have the heart to, I don't want to just mumble by. Because again, we helped one couple that were cross-cultural, and bless this brother's heart, he spoke Spanish like I do, with a very thick Southern accent and not great grammar. But he could be understandable. So in his brain, man,
He's got this.
I speak some Spanish, man. I speak the language. And he was wondering why his wife was so upset, because she didn't understand what in the world the man was saying, right? And so when I talked to him, I had to look at him, and with as much love as, like I said, brother, you're going to have to get better at Spanish. And he got so mad for a little bit, upset. I don't believe that. I do pretty good. I've been da-da-da-da. And he's going to regale me with his stamps and his passport. And I'm like, I don't care. Your wife has no idea what you're saying. So it doesn't matter what your passport says. It doesn't matter what Duolingo says and gives you the thumbs up. If you can't talk to them, you can't talk to them. I remember one of the other brothers again, a missionary in Mexico who came, one of the guys, he was the older guy that married one of our youth, and he didn't know any Spanish.
No.
So he just talked real loud in English.
Yeah, louder and louder.
And louder and louder. And I had to finally pull him aside and say, hey, brother, listen to me. They just think you're mad.
Because now you're yelling.
Because now you're just yelling. Now you just look like a mad white guy.
Oh, my
right,
goodness.
yelling and running around because they don't. So go learn the language and get good at it.
Yeah.
Have the heart to not just learn it, but I'm going to master it.
The nuances and all of
The
that.
jokes.
Here's the reason
the
why
colloquial stuff.
You're not just going to communicate with your spouse.
Very
you're going to
good.
communicate with their family.
Absolutely.
Which is a huge deal. Huge deal.
And if nobody ever told you whether or not it's same culture or cross culture, I didn't just marry her. I married her whole tribe.
Yes.
And I married her culture, and I married her nation, and I married her holidays, and I married her foods, and I married everything that's connected to this beautiful lady because I chose to marry a different culture.
Yes.
Right.
Which I'm so glad you did, by
I
the
am
way.
too.
Just saying.
I'm much
Just
better
saying.
for it. I mean, I sit there and tell people all the time, hey, I've told people all the time, nothing would make me happier than if my kids all came home with a different colored human. And we had one of every color, and I had all these multi-mixed grandkids running around. That would make me the happiest man on the planet to see all these different ethnicities running around.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with that, because that's another point, because we know there's people out there, and some of them are the ones who are asking about this. You're about to marry somebody from a different culture. And they have like this. They come from a place where there's a national language.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to use this as an example. There's a national language in a lot of African cultures of Swahili. But when you get into the nation, whatever nation that might be, there's tribal languages. So I would tell those couples, you need to learn the national language. And if your husband or wife or whoever, whatever language your mama-in-law speaks, you better learn that one too. Right? Because that's just going to show love to your mama-in-law, and you're going to understand the jokes they're saying about you. You know what I'm saying? And at least you can laugh at yourself, right? Brownie points, right? So some of that stuff you go, well, man, now I got to learn another. Yes. Because you didn't just, because that language, there's Swahili, because you're going to go to whatever country that may be, and you're going to need to talk to all the people in that country. But then you're going to go sit at a table or sit around a pot of what is that, the dough stuff they do, and share and talk. You need to talk to them.
Ugali.
Ugali, that's what it's called. You're gonna share ugali with somebody, and you're gonna want to speak the language of your husband's house. And as well, I encourage your kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna learn all these languages, and it gives you a connection to your kids. Now, again, you're gonna sit there and say, "Well, man, Brad, that's a lot of work." Yep. Again, that's what we said. Doesn't mean the game's impossible. Doesn't mean the game can't be enjoyable, but you chose a difficulty level that's different than others.
And guys, really, life is all about mindset.
Very good.
So if you think that learning something new is hard, then it's going to
It'll be
be hard
hard.
for you. But if you determine and are committed to making it exciting and fun, then and you see the why behind it and you're constantly reminding yourself of that, that's going to be phenomenal and you're going to have a really good time doing it.
Absolutely.
And what I loved about Brad is just that he just got out there and tried.
Yep.
And that blessed my heart so much, right? And so at first he would butcher it, but it didn't matter because the guy was trying and I knew why he was trying. And so just enjoy it. Enjoy
Absolutely.
the journey, have fun, and learn.
Then learn
And it doesn't have to be done in 2 months. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say it can take you a while. So it's
And-
okay.
And
You'll
we're gonna
always
make
get
notes
better.
because we're looking at our time. We're gonna make this a two-parter, so we're not
Okay,
rushed.
okay.
And so, because I think it'll help serve people. But we will transition to the next one to pick
Yeah.
up. So the next one is again, like I said, and here's a big one: food. Right? Food, food, food. This is not the. If you're white like me, and you marry someone from a different culture, guess what? You get to never be again. Picky. You get to never again. I don't eat that. I don't like that.
Can I just say
That's yuck.
that
right?
my food or the food that I grew up with is part of me.
Exactly.
So for you to say, I don't like that, is saying, I don't like that part of you. It's
That's
a big deal.
it is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And so we'll talk about some more on that, and we'll pick up there the next time. I'll tell this one story because the reason why that's important is we lived for about 5 years in the nation of Mexico, and we were there as missionaries, Selena and I. And when we were leaving there to go to our next place, which was Canada, they were sending us off, and they did like this big kind of honoring thing, which was very kind.
Loved it.
You know, but it's so funny. But all the people got up, and they said all kinds of wonderful, flowery things about Selena they didn't say about me. But they said how just amazing, how awesome she is. And they came up and they said, and Brad, you ate everything we served you. And now here's the key point.
No lie.
You ate everything we served you. You never made a face, and it made us want to hear your message.
Yeah.
And guys, listen to me. That's why we say that. So we'll talk about that more and this kind of stuff about food and culture and holidays that are coming the next episode. But listen, if you're getting into a cross-cultural marriage, learn to eat their food, learn to cook their food, learn to enjoy their food. Again, if there's a recipe or something, like my wife has a plate of food that she loves from Guatemala that I learned how to make. Why? Because it's her favorite thing. Right. And she has been willing to follow me crazily all across the North American continent and to go to places she's not from. So the least I can do is make pieces of home for her that are hers. Does that make sense? So if you're there, again, typically I know cooking falls to me. That's a whole nother episodes on duties and jurisdictions we'll talk about. I know typically food would fall to the, hey, listen, if you're coming from you're marrying somebody from the Middle East or from Africa or from Asia or somewhere different, man, go and learn to make that boy's food. Go talk to your new mother-in-law and say, teach me my husband's favorite stuff because I want to love my husband well and I want him to feel like he's at home, right? And learn how to do that, right? And you might sit there and say, well, I don't know. I don't like that. I remember we have another cross-cultural couple, our dear friend, they're both missionaries. He's from Ohio, she's from England, and they went to Northern Africa where they eat all kinds of spicy stuff, and she's from Britain, and she didn't like spice. So she literally would pray, God, help me eat this food and help me enjoy it. Until now, she is one of the biggest spice eaters I've ever met.
Yeah.
But she literally went to God and said,
Asked
Lord, you're
for
going to
help.
have to help me
Yes.
eat this and
Yeah.
change my tongue.
Yeah.
Right. So that might be you. You might need to pray and say, Lord, change my palate.
Yeah.
I like these things. Why? Because I am choosing to play the game at a different level. Right. So we'll pick up again and make notes on that and pick up on again next time to talk about more cross-cultural stuff. Again, if you have any questions, please send them to info@thehollemans.com. We would love to receive, especially along this topic, any questions you may have. If you're in a cross-cultural marriage, or you're about to be in a cross-cultural marriage, or
Right.
you got kids or grandkids, one of the reasons why we wanted to make these episodes is so you
Yes.
can share them out
Yes.
to people. So that would be great. Again, you can check us out at thehollemans.com. All thing Holloman is there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Hollemans in YouTube. And as well, please subscribe here
Yes.
to BGTV, right? They are so gracious to let us be a part of what they're doing and ministering and reaching out. Please like their page, subscribe to their stuff as well. And until next time, remember, your joy can be full.